team, welcome back to the Multiplay podcast. It's been a minute, but I've got some exciting news for you. Recently, I got to go to Sydney to experience the Ubisoft Australia offices, which was a really cool experience. And the reason is not just because I got to have a go at a work-in-progress version of their upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows game, but also as I walked around in the office, I noticed a bunch of paraphernalia right across the office in little nooks and crannies from the various games that Ubisoft has released over the years. And it just reminded me of some really fond memories I'd had playing those games. Games like, the Far Cry series. I got to see my favorite dog in a game ever, which is, of course, Chorizo from Far Cry 6, that beautiful little dachshund, or however you say it. And I also got to see a giant Mario wearing Rabbids from Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is still one of the great strategic battle games, I think. I really enjoy that game so much, probably more than it deserves credit for, but I really enjoy that game so much. So it's a really cool reminder of that. There was even a dog from Far Cry working at one of the desks, like a miniature version of it. It looked really cool. I shared some of those photos on my Instagram, so you can go check that out at DokiDarko_official on Instagram if you want to check that out. But while I was there, obviously, I just spoke about I got to check out the brand new Assassin's Creed Shadows game. It was a version of the game that was a work in progress, and it included the prologue settings, which set up the storyline of the two main characters of the game. And then we got to play a mission. The whole thing took about 5 hours to play through, and we got to have breaks and ate some Japanese food while we're at it as well, which was really cool. But I got to meet some great people as well. So a big shout out to everyone that I met there at the event, and I'm sure I hope I'll be having them on the podcast over the next year to chat. Especially, I've noticed Sophie Quests has been doing a great job with her coverage of Assassin's Creed. If you don't follow her, make sure you do go follow her on Twitch and also on the socials as well. She's got some great historical-based content, so she only looks at history-based video games. And I'm going to have her on very soon to talk about all that stuff as well. So the main story of the game that we got to play was a mission that comes a bit later in the open world of the game, where you're playing as both characters, and you can swap between the characters as much as you like throughout the game to tackle the game in different ways, because one is like a ninja who's very stealth-based, and then the other one is a samurai who's a bit more brute force. And so it's about how you tackle each event, each quest that comes up. And that brings me to the cool part of what I got to do while I was there. I got to interview a man named Luke who came from Ubisoft Quebec. And he is, in fact, the level design director, Luc Plante. And I got to ask him a bunch of questions about working on the game. And I discovered over that time that Luke has actually been in the gaming industry for a very long time and worked on some massive titles as well, including the Spider-Man games, which are very, very much well thought of in the gaming community. I love those games. So then he came back to Ubisoft to become the level design director on this Assassin's Creed Shadows game, and I got to ask him a bunch of questions. So here's how that conversation went. So Luke, welcome to Australia.
Thank you very much.
Very exciting. Of course, you're the level design director on Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yes.
That's not where you started though, right? So you started back as a game tester.
Exactly.
That sounds like every kid's dream.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a bit about how you got into that and what it involved?
Yeah, so it was back in the 90s, a while ago. So there weren't any school in Canada about video game design. So I decided to learn the trade by doing it. And Ubisoft was at a studio at Montreal back then. It wasn't open from a long time ago, but I decided to apply and I'm an autodidact person, so I'm gonna learn the trade by doing it. So I started as video game tester, and it might sound glamorous, but in fact you need to hit your head in every wall to make sure you don't pass through. So it's a very rigorous job. So it's not just play games, it's make sure that...
Do you remember what the first game you ever tested was?
Yeah, it was Evil Twin Cyprian Chronicle on Dreamcast.
Wow.
So it's...
back on the Dreamcast.
Yes, PS2 and Dreamcast.
That's so funny because about the same time as you were doing that, I was working in a video game store selling Dreamcasts.
Oh, really?
So yeah, really good. One of my favorite all-time consoles.
Yeah,
so
it was
really
great. So and after that I went to level design, game design, but my passion was really level design. And with Ubisoft, there's a wide variety of portfolio IP, so I was able to have the opportunity to touch base on all of them. And some projects are more world building, other are a bit of everything, but I landed my place more on the quest side, so that's why I'm quest director.
Would you say quests are more of an ideas type of, like, is that where the ideas are born?
Quest is more like what's the objective that are put forth for the player, so it's mixing the missing link between the narrative and the gameplay element. So how can we make the two together to create a fun experience, a balanced experience to the player, to make them laugh, to make them on their toes because there's a stressful situation. So it's really to play with the player to make sure that they enjoy the experience.
Now, you've worked on several other games over the years as well, including Spider-Man, which is incredible. What was that experience like?
It was a very different experience because it was on another company. Each company has their own ways of doing things. But it was my first dip into open world, but it was a big city. But when I came back to Ubisoft, working on an Assassin's Creed game, now with our vast open world, we're not limiting ourselves to cities, but we have beautiful surrounding. We have the wildlife, the forest, the mountains. So it's
What did you learn from working on a game like Spider-Man that you could bring back to something like Assassin's Creed Shadows?
It's in any game, it's always what's the fantasy you want a player to live. Whether it be a superhero, a super assassin, a samurai or ninja, it's to make every decision to make sure that it supports that fantasy, and so that the player doesn't feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be a valorous samurai with honor. Why I'm doing these type of things that feel awkward as a samurai. So it's making sure that whether the game is, identify the player fantasy and making sure that we deliver on that.
Yeah, right. Well, you did, when we were talking earlier, you described Assassin's Creed Shadows as the ultimate Assassin's Creed experience.
Yeah.
What do you think we've learned over the years? Because it's taken Ubisoft a long time to create an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan.
Yes.
And it seems like the obvious choice.
Yes, it is. Fans have been requested for a long time, and us as developer as well. So it was really a good moment when we learned that we were to work on that project, and we want to make sure that we deliver for the expectation, both that we set up ourselves to create, but also for the fans.
So obviously feudal Japan, an incredible setting, beautiful environments. Can you tell me a bit about how you created those beautiful environments, and also the characters? The characters look so great.
A lot of improvement on our technology to make sure that it's true to put forth a next-gen experience. So there's the size of the world, there's all the details with the winds, with the atmosphere, the cloud. You can hear the thunderstorm before they come. There's pouring rain, and then puddle of mud will stay. And same thing with the facial of the character, both the skin, the detail, but also the animation. To make all of this is to create. When I say ultimate experience, it's also the most immersive one. So to make the world believable, to have enemies' reaction that you will expect in real life. Like you have poor civilian, if it starts raining, they will find an awning to make sure that they get covered, or if it's too cold outside, they will reach a fire source so that they keep warm.
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, so it's to push those boundaries of immersion in each Assassin's Creed game forward. And now this is the leap we're making with Shadows.
Yeah. So actually, speaking of that, with my playthrough just now, I discovered there's these observable moments throughout the game, and I love those.
Well, thank you.
How do they benefit the player?
So we want to make sure that we renew the experience as well. So we need to have core elements for the fan to to recognize that we haven't changed into a complete direction the series, but something they can rely into. But also we want to make sure that they are up for surprises. And same thing with the Sumi-Ace, where you need to sneak and draw animals and their behaviors. We wanted this time around to not to be truthful and respectful for the animal life, and making sure that we can chase animals, quote unquote, but it's to get to them and to draw them rather than killing them to loot their resources. So to respect the animals, but at the same time to make it for a cool mechanic that will again renew the overall experience.
Yeah, two of the things that I observed were some deer fighting in the woods, and the other one was this crane eating a fish. Yeah. And I just thought, wow, it really creates a living world. Yeah. And I think that's really important.
And for us, it's to build that living world, but also to pay homage of our setting with that type of drawing. That was we can see still those paintings, so they are memorable with those ink paintbrushes. Yeah. So that we wanna how can we encompass it into a gameplay, and the wildlife is there, but we want to be respectful for the animals.
So you got two characters to choose from in the game, and you can swap and change between the two.
Yes.
How did that affect you from designing the quests?
From the beginning, we knew that we wanted to have those two protagonists. So every quest is designed accordingly to make sure that we have key moments where both protagonists are present in the dialogue, so that each of them are here to hear, okay, what's this all about? What's what's at stake? So that it doesn't feel too much of a surprise when we swap characters, so they know what the quest is about.
When I was searching through the map system in the game, there's a lot more focus on discovering your quest and discovering what to do next, as opposed to it just jumping out and telling you exactly what to do. Was that done on purpose?
Yeah, it was done on purpose to have a bit of a refresh of the all world exploration loop, and to give more autonomy to the players, to make sure that if they want to discover the world at their own pace, they want to experience different type of content at their own pace, it's up to them to walk, to see the environment, to be curious about it, to find, there's a tall pagoda, I'm going to climb it up and see what's the surrounding. That little creek is interesting, there must be some surprise there, then wanted you to go there. So it's to promote player agency and autonomy, and that's what we really wanted from the start.
Well, it's a beautiful game. I think you've done an amazing job with it.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what you're most proud of about the game?
Yeah, from my quest perspective we have access to tons of historical data and information, and how can we take those historical elements and weave them into the game? One example from the PlayStation during the Noble quest line, we have this kid, Ukita Hideye. It was a custom at that time period to have those hostage exchange, meaning that someone from my family will be taken care by my rival clan, or vice versa.
Right, of course, yeah. So like in the TV show Shogun.
Exactly. So it's to prevent the other clan to betray you, because if they betray you, they will kill the people you care about. And it's to use that, not to make it too obvious to the player, but to use it as a plot device to make the story unfold, and eventually you identify who's the noble and you kill the bad guy. But to use those type of historical moments or facts and weave it in a manner that it serves a purpose. And it makes the story move forward.
Yeah, because Ubisoft has a pretty extensive historical department, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Mate, so thank you so much for your time today, and thanks so much for coming to Australia to visit us all as well.
All my pleasure.
And good luck with the launch of the game. I think it's a really great one. I think going to make a lot of people happy.
Oh, thank you very much.
It was a really great experience, and I've put some thoughts on my first impressions of the game up on the website DokiDarko.com if you want to go check those out. But I can tell you that I really enjoyed my time with the game, and I'd be eager to explore more when it's released on the 20th of March. Of course, it was very famously pushed back through some social posts. It got pushed back to the release of March 20. And that was met with some backlash from a lot of people online, a lot of people on X especially. Holding back a game to make sure it's ready is something that those same sources criticize developers of not doing constantly. So it really is a case of you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But I think it's a really great choice because even from the unfinished version of the game that I played, I can see improvements on what had been come previously, especially from the parkour elements. It just seemed to flow a lot better. Definitely when you play the game, you're going to have a favorite character and you'll probably play through as 70% as that character. For me, it was Naue, the shinobi ninja type character. I thought she was a fantastic character, but the storyline's just really good. Look, if you're a fan of those Assassin's Creed games, you're going to really enjoy Assassin's Creed Shadows. The game's undoubtedly going to be compared to games like Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm in two minds about that as well because at one point, on one hand, it's very much an Assassin's Creed title, but I can see where the comparisons are going to be made. But considering that the Ghost is such a phenomenal game, I'd really like to think of it more as a compliment to the Assassin's Creed Shadows game because it really does promise to be something special for the franchise, I think, and it's definitely worthy of your attention when it gets released on March 20. Thanks so much for clicking on another download of Multiplay. And of course, very soon we'll have our regular guests back on. But thanks so much to Luke for taking part as well in this episode. So really great. And of course, listen to the iHeart Countdown on regional radio across Australia every Saturday where you'll hear more of Doki Darko.